to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Alyssa. It is the week of Thanksgiving here in the US, and I am sharing 3 delicious fall treats for you, which you can make for Thanksgiving or just enjoy during the fall season because they're that good. So all of these recipes are gluten-free, they are so healthy, and they are all on the blog already, so you can get those by clicking the links that are in the description box. It includes more photos, instructions, ingredient list, all that good stuff. And I think you guys are gonna love these recipes. I'm really excited for you to try them. We've got a bunch of different kinds and varieties, some fruit ones, some chocolate ones, all the things that you need for a healthy fall treat. And without further ado, let's go ahead and dive in. So we're gonna start with the grain-free apple crisp, and we're going to do the topping first. To make that, you need some dates, pecans, and coconut flakes, and just add those into a food processor and then process them up until they are nice and crumbly. From there, we will add in some almond flour, a little bit of maple syrup, some coconut oil, and a pinch of sea salt, and blend that up until you have a nice sticky, kind of doughish texture. Then you can just set that aside and move on to the apples. So for the apples, you're gonna add all of your apples into a bowl. I peeled and cored and sliced my apples. And then you'll add in some coconut sugar, some cinnamon, and again, a pinch of sea salt, and stir that all together until they're nice and combined. Then we will assemble everything. So you're gonna start by adding the apples into your baking dish, and then just kind of like spread them out a little bit so that they're on the flattest layer that they can be. And then you will sprinkle on your topping and just kind of use your hands to evenly sprinkle it. It's a little bit sticky, but you can just basically sprinkle it across the top. And I use my hands to kind of spread it out so that it gets into as many cracks as possible. And once you've got your topping all set, we will just pop this into the oven and cook it for about 45 minutes. Now, I recommend that you check it after around 20 minutes because the topping can start to burn, and you might just want to cover it with some foil to ensure that it doesn't burn. You'll know it's done when the apples are bubbling and everything is nice and hot and the crust is golden brown and crunchy. And then we can just do a big scoop of it and serve it up. I personally love serving apple crisp with something creamy. So I didn't have any vegan vanilla ice cream on hand. That's what I would recommend because it's just classic. But I did have some full-fat coconut yogurt. So I just did a scoop of coconut yogurt. You could also do coconut whip, something that's creamy. It just tastes so good with this. And you can just dig in. I honestly will tell you, I think that I prefer apple crisp over apple pie. And I will definitely be serving this at Thanksgiving this year. Our second recipe is going to be a batch of vegan tahini brownies. The base of our brownies, we're going to start with some mashed banana as well as some mashed avocado and some tahini. I know we're starting off on a weird foot, but I promise they're good. And you're also going to add in a flax egg and some coconut sugar, a little bit of vanilla, and then we'll just stir this all together until you have a nice smooth batter. From there, you can just add the dry ingredients right into this bowl. So we're gonna use quinoa flour, raw cacao powder, baking powder, sea salt, and again, just stir it all together until you get a smooth brownie batter. So I love adding chocolate chips into pretty much any dessert that I can. So I decided to fold in some chocolate chips. You can totally skip this step. You could also fold in walnuts if you wanted. Another sort of nut would be really good, maybe pecans, almonds, coconut would be good, or you can just skip it and leave them as is. Once you're ready to bake them, you can just transfer them into an 8x8 parchment-lined baking sheet and just use your spatula or spoon to kind of spread it out evenly. Make sure that it gets into the corners and try to smooth out the top as much as you can. And then you'll just bake these at 350 until they are nice and fluffy and a cake tester inserted into the center comes out clean. They are so good, you guys. I like to let my brownies cool completely before I slice them. That way they don't get too fudgy. But if you want to dive in right away, I recommend that you leave them to cool for a minimum of 20 minutes. Then just slice them up into your squares. And I want to make sure that you see the texture. They are so nice and fudgy and so good. I also love sprinkling my brownies with sea salt in case you haven't noticed because I do that all the time, and that's optional. Don't have to do that, but basically that's all you got to do. These are one of the best brownies that you'll ever try, and they taste so good. Last but not least, we're going to make some apple crumble bars. So we're going to start with our base. That is going to be quick cooking oats, some quinoa flour, almond flour, cinnamon, sea salt, maple syrup, and coconut oil. And you can just stir that all together until it's combined. And then you will actually scoop out half a cup of that, and we're going to reserve that for our topping and just leave the rest in the bowl. And to the bowl, you will add 1 flax egg, and this is going to serve as our crust. The flax egg helps to bind it together and helps it get really nice and crispy, and it will be a kind of sticky texture, so that's what you're looking for. Once you've got that, you can set it aside and move on to your apples. So you'll add some peeled, cored, and chopped apples into a bowl. Top that with some maple syrup, some cinnamon, and a little bit of tapioca starch or cornstarch, and stir that together until it's evenly combined, and then we will assemble the bars. So we're gonna start by placing a parchment lined baking sheet. I actually recommend you do it in a square. I just didn't have a clean one, so I did it in this size. And you will add the crust into the bottom, and then just use your hands to evenly press it down and get it into, again, all of the corners. Make sure that you press it down as firmly as you can, and then try to make it as smooth as possible. You could also use a pastry roller or the bottom of a flat glass or jar. Then you will add on your apples and just smooth them over with your spatula. Make sure they're as evenly distributed as you can. And finally, you'll use the reserved topping, so the half cup of reserved topping that you left on the side. You'll just sprinkle that over the top. And again, just make sure you can get it as evenly sprinkled across the top as possible. Then we'll bake this until the apples are juicy and golden brown, the top is crunchy. And actually, just like the brownies, I recommend that you let these cool completely before you slice them so that you get even nice slices and it doesn't get too crumbly. So make sure you let it cool completely. And then you can slice it up into your bars. And you'll see here when I show you the bars, they have that nice crumble topping on the top. But you'll also notice that my base is a little bit thick, and that is because I didn't use the right size pan. So if you like the thinner base, which I recommend, you can use the square pan like I mentioned in the blog post. So here are those beautiful bars. They are so good. They taste like apple pie. They're great for breakfast, great for a snack, and they also double as a healthy fall dessert. And there you have it, my friends. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I can't wait to hear which fall treat you make first. I love those tahini brownies. I know it sounds strange to add tahini into sweet things, but they are so good. You have to try them. Otherwise, I would love to hear what you think. You can let me know which one you're gonna try first down in the comments. If you end up making them, you can share something with me on Instagram by tagging @simplyquinoa or using #simplyquinoa. You can also share something in your stories, and I repost those on a weekly basis. So if you do wanna get a little shout out, that's a great way to do it. Otherwise, don't forget to check out the blog for all of the recipes. I've included all of the links down in the description box below. And thank you again for being here. You guys are awesome. I will be back next week with brand new content. So happy Thanksgiving, and I'll see you next week. Bye, guys.